Hello everybody and welcome to the North American Star League Season number 2. This is going to be day 1, week 1, and I am joined alongside by my good old friend, Jake LzGamer Winstead. Jake, how you doing, man?
I'm doing great. It's absolutely a pleasure to be here. Yeah, I don't know what else to say besides that. I'm absolutely shocked and just speechless.
Dude, you are one of my best friends from the Starcraft scene. For people that don't know, he is from Team Evil Geniuses. And I heard they're a pretty good team. Why don't you go ahead and talk a little about them?
They're pretty amazing. You know, we have a team house, so that even sets us apart.
That's awesome, man. Yeah,
so we have amazing sponsors like Monster and everybody else. Intel, Kingston, just thanks to everybody out there. You know, we have a great lineup. We have Idra.
Yeah,
come on, DeMuslim. We're going to be talking a little bit about him later on in this program. But, you know, we have a phenomenal team. In Control, I feel like I kind of took his spot for today. But... yeah,
it's all good, man. One EG replacing the other. Nevertheless, for those of you that don't know, I am Andre Gretorp in Control, and I'm going to be your host for all season long. I was your host as well for season number 1. That being said, we have a lot in store for you guys for this season. A lot of new changes. You've seen it. We actually got a new desk. We got a new editing team. We got a new everything possibly imaginable, and it's going to be great. I can't wait for it. For those of you at home that want to see all of this in our glory, you can see LzGamer here. He is a very handsome fellow. And if you're watching in 360p, you are terribly mistaken. That's a terrible life decision. You should watch him in 1080p. And you can do that by going onto the website www.nasl.tv. In the top right-hand corner, there's options for you to purchase an HD pass and see all of the glory, all the StarCraft action, along with our beautiful faces in 1080p. Also, it enables you to watch everything in commercial-free experiences and...
which who doesn't like that, right?
Who doesn't like that? VODs are the best things in the world.
Absolutely.
You can always watch them on demand. Nevertheless, you can find out more information by going to the website or following us and friending us. We are facebook.com/NASLTV and twitter.com/NASLTV. More information can be found, of course, on the website. So, that being said, let's go ahead and jump into what people are really here for, and that's the StarCraft matches.
Oh my gosh.
Emmett, let's go ahead and pull up the list of players that we have for today. So we have Vibe vs. Sheth for match number 1, Hero vs. Cruncher for match number 2, White Rot vs. Phoenix for match number 3, and of course the guy that you're waiting for, match number 4, we have EG DeMuslim against Lowly. Let's go ahead and look at the maps right now. So we have as our starting map Terminus SC, a great map, followed by Dual Sight, which is another new map, new addition to the NASL. Really looking forward to that. Clean things up. We have the most beautiful map in the world, Belshire Beach. You cannot say there's a prettier map than that.
Absolutely. Anybody playing on like low graphic settings is missing out. Like you put that on high or ultra,
yeah,
and it is absolutely gorgeous.
Exactly. Of course, we watch everything on Ultra.
We watch everything in 1080p.
I know. We watch in HD 1080p.
In HD,
yeah.
1080p.
That's, I mean, my eyes are generally like that, but it's pretty cool like that. Anyway, so let's go ahead and go into the first map. So we have, of course, Terminus SE. Terminus is quite an interesting map. We had it from last season. Now we changed up a little bit. We have rocks leading to the 3rd. That's going to be the main change. There's not much else, just little tweaks, maybe mineral patches, things like that. But that main thing is the 3rd with the rocks. For the most part, I think everything stays the same, and we're going to be seeing macro matches on this map.
I couldn't agree anymore. But what I do like is that there are rocks leading into that 3rd now, so it allows for pressure.
Yeah.
Before, people could just take 3 expansions, and there was really nothing you could do. Us could have like 3 centuries and just force field it off, and that was it. There was nothing you could do. But now, with those rocks, it allows for some aggression to be hit on multiple locations to split armies. So I think with that change, it's actually going to make for a lot better, more action-packed macro maps.
Yeah, I mean, there were a lot of mind games that could be played, which was good and bad at the same time. For instance, I could just throw up 4 bunkers and sit there. I might be massing up units behind. I might be getting a quick 3rd. You had no indication until later on. And it could be so much later that you can't react in time because the macro is just going crazy. This time around, you have those rocks to blow down. You can really get in information very quickly. I think it just makes for much more robust play from both sides.
Yeah, I couldn't agree anymore.
Our next map is going to be Dual Sight. Now, Dual Sight is a new addition. You know, as a Terran player and a Zerg player, I really want to get your opinion on Dual Sight, because I think it's really good for Terran at some time, but it's really good for Zerg at some time. And I just cannot get a definitive answer which race really works out. I'm looking at TVZ in particular, but I think we'll get into the rest. What do you think about TVZ on this map?
I like Zerg versus Terran on this map. What's so good about it is there's multiple ways into the natural, right? So it's great for counterattacking. It's great for that kind of play style. So if you love like Mutaling, Baneling with Burrow, and you counterattack, and you just like non-stop counterattack, and you could Burrow Banelings like as you go along, so it forces them to not only burn scans, but it's like the dirtiest style ever. But there's so many ways you could play it.
You just mentioned Burrow, and I hate you.
I know. I just brought up the one unit, the one special ability Zerg has to hide their units. But you know, it's also really good for Terran. Like you can do so many good pushes towards like golds and stuff. So it's hard for Zerg to expand and get the bases that they really want, while Terran's applying that pressure.
That's exactly what I'm thinking. The third position, the third base to take is a little bit difficult, because you have one natural third progression, I want to say, that is closer push distance to your opponent. You can just, you know, as a Terran, I can say, okay, I'm going to do a 2-base timing.
Right.
And you've just made it much closer for me to push on you. I win that way. Or you take another expansion, and it's like, oh, well, I'll just drop. And now all of a sudden you have to go like all around in a circle just to get and defend. It just makes it very difficult. That's why I'm not sure, because as you said, your style is very strong as well. Do that counterattack, Zergling, Baneling, Mutalist style, and it can be really hard to get out of your base.
It's true. Also, the naturals are really wide open.
Yeah.
So that allows for, you know, like Roach Baneling timings, and also it's harder for Terran to get that wall off that they love. It's kind of, you know, a lot of times players like to make just, you know, depots all the way across, or make some barracks.
10 depots?
Yeah.
Nom nom nom.
10 depots. So, you know, so it makes it a little bit more difficult when it's so wide open.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, again, there's so many styles that can be played on this map. I'm really interested to see how these players actually go and start to develop their game, because again, it's kind of a new map cycle that we're getting into, and this is when all the strategies start to merge and we get to see the cutting edge, and it's so nice to be in this position. It's kind of a privilege to be here.
It is a privilege.
And just leading that front. Anyway, to round things out, we have, as we said before, the most beautiful map in the world, Belshir Beach. Now, Belshir Beach is a very large one-on-one map. It does offer a ton of places where you can expand. If there's a macro map ever, this is going to be it.
Well, while it is a macro-oriented map, it still does have that 2 ways into the natural thing. So it's still another map that could be abused with countering. Also, your third is really close by, so you can grab that so easily. It's so easy to defend the first, second, and third base.
See, what I like about this map is that it kind of plays into 2 different hands. One is mobility. The other one is going to be obviously expanding.
Right.
What really comes to mind is something like Phoenix play, Muta play, Dropship play, by for all 3 races, or even Drop play can be from all 3 races. Excuse me, but particularly Terran, because it's most accessible.
Right.
You can take expansions, but knowing that you take an expansion, you increase your perimeter like crazy. You increase the amount of places you have to defend like crazy. So taking an expansion has its gains, has its huge risks. And I really feel like mobility has to play a huge factor into that. And on top of that, taking your expansion, if you can do a very like harass-oriented style while taking expansions at the same time, I think that's the best way to play this map. It can be so dangerous just getting that economy and having such a strong harass option.
It is. I actually think this is a really good Terran map, in my opinion.
Really?
Yeah, Terran can grab that third base. A lot of Terrans have been going for a faster third. Even if they don't have the army to make it, they still they'll build it and land it
they
there.
Just press P. That's why.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
So they could turn to a planter, or they just hit L and lift it up, and once we have the army to clear it, then we'll land it back
down. They
down.
go enter BRB,
yeah.
Enter, and then they wait for like 140 supply, and they're like, all right, good.
But it's so hard for Zerg to get to those 4th bases, which they love to get to. Zerg needs that gas in that late game stance, and it's like you're pushing, your 4th base is actually pushing towards your opponent, you know, and so it makes the push distance that much shorter for the Terran.
Well, 8 gas is definitely exactly where Zerg wants to be. That's where they're like that optimal place, and if they can get to 10, it's a nightmare.
Exactly.
But 8 is when they really start kicking in. It's just like, yeah, this is feeling great.
You're you're as happy as can be.
Exactly.
Nothing but rainbows and sunshine outside when that happens.
Definitely. We'll see. I mean, it's definitely an applicable map to get that 8 gas, but it all depends on the players and how they decide to really build that. What's their plan to get to their 8 gas? That's what I want to see.
Exactly.
So that being said, that's going to be the maps. Let's go ahead and go a little bit into each individual matchup. Let's start off with DeMuslim versus Lowly. Now, DeMuslim, he is, as you said, an Evil Genius's player. Yes. He is extremely, extremely talented as of late. No, throughout the entire beta. He was, yeah. But, I mean, he's really kicked it into gear this time around, been performing extremely well at things like MLG, other tournaments as such. What can you tell us a little about him, like his playstyle, his TVZ in particular?
Oh, okay. Well, his TVZ, let me tell you. I spent a month at the EG house playing with all the guys, and DeMuslim was the one player in the house that had my number. Like, I think I went like 2 wins and 22 losses or something. Man. It was brutal. It was the most demoralizing thing ever. He is so abusive with Hellions. Like, his Hellion play is amazing. He's like, oh, well, he has Sunkens or he has Roaches. It's like, well, I'll just make more Hellions. You know, it's like, doesn't even make sense to some people.
Yeah.
But to him, he makes it work. And also, he has an amazing macro mechanic. Like, he is so good. He doesn't miss a beat with his macro. And when he pushes you to late game, you think like, oh, well, I have Broodlords and Infestors. I guess I'm good. And then he comes out with like 30 Ghost. And then he just kills everything. So he's just really smart when he comes to his builds and timings.
Yeah, well, that sounds pretty scary. I mean, I know he really popularized, well, not really popularized, but he uses it a lot. I've seen that double double reactor
Hellions?
factored Hellions. Yep. And all of a sudden you have a theoretical 4 factories pumping out all these Hellions, and it's just the scariest thing in the world for Zerg because you pump it off of one base and you still expand. It's like, how do you have minerals?
You expand twice off of it because you have to cut so much to get like defenses up to where you're safe enough from that to where you can't get that super fast muta that you'd like. You can't get those abusive things that you really need in that case to counter those Hellions.
Yeah. And you know what? A lot of times Zergs just wait for enough mutas to get out to be able to deal with that. And, you know, you can still take your hatchery, your 3rd hatchery. He gets enough Hellions out where it's not, you can't build it and rely on the build time to defend the hatchery. You know?
It's so true.
It can be very, very troublesome, I know, as a Zerg. Well, I'm not a Zerg player, but as Zerg, I know.
As someone who's played Zerg before.
Yes, exactly. But, you know, I watch a lot of games. Nevertheless, I'm really interested to see what goes on with DeMuslim. Now, he's going to go up against Lowly, who made it through the open qualifiers from the North American Star League Season 1. Played really brilliantly, lost his match, I think, against Alive.
I think so.
And it was like a 1-hour match on Tal'Darim Altar, where he was at like 4 or 5 base against 1 base, and he lost. It was like the most epic loss ever. Everything went wrong in that game. It was so unfortunate, but he was looking really strong. I'm interested to see how he does against a player like DeMuslim. Now, Lowly, of course, in the European team, not too big of a name, to be honest.
Yeah, not that big, but you know, that doesn't take away from the fact that he's an amazing player.
Exactly.
Just because he doesn't get the hype as some other players might get doesn't take away the fact that he has skill.
Yes.
Like, he proved it and qualified for all and made it this far.
Yeah.
You know, so that right there proves that he should be here.
Exactly. Yeah, I can't wait to see how he does in the NASL Season 2. I think it's a great platform to really get his name out there. I hope he does well. Hopefully we'll see him in the finals. So the match before that is going to be White Raw versus Phoenix. White Raw, of course, from his own team. And Phoenix just recently joined IM.
Yeah.
Yeah, Incredible Miracles, right?
Yeah, Incredible Miracles.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah. But these two
kind of a big deal.
Yeah, kind of a big deal.
Kind of a big deal.
Foreigner going to a Korean team. But you know what? White Raw is no slouch himself. This guy is one of the most amazing players in all of esports. I wouldn't even say in Starcraft 2.
Yeah, it's like everywhere. World.
Yeah. Everybody loves him. And how can you even characterize his playstyle? I mean,
special tactics.
Special tactics. I guess that's what's it. I mean, he can macro, he can micro at the same time. He can do everything. He do high aggression plays. He can do.
He is really like, he can do it all.
Yeah, literally.
He really can do it all.
And you never find those type of players. It's so hard to find them. The ones that can just say, okay, I'm going to do this build, and